witnessed that large of number. The fact that we have 224 participating teams right here in the Newell, it is bombastic. It is mad. We are bound to see some wacky stuff. We are bound to see a lot of really, really awesome teams that have never been seen nor heard of beforehand just sort of rise their way to the top because they did their due diligence of actually packing in their hiking boots and climbing all the way up that mountain, which is really, really great to see. And then obviously seeing those returning teams, as you said, Portsmouth Paladins, Wicked X Blue Jays, despite the fact that they are a little bit down below, Brunel's Swansea, the list goes on and on and on of the old guard still retaining themselves within Newell. It puts such a big smile on my face that I'm not exhibiting, but here it goes ear to ear. It makes me happy that we see a lot of these returning teams.
Yeah, and it's always going to be a challenge whenever you do roll into, as again, it does always link back to the fact that we are at university.
Yeah.
These things happen. Like, things don't stay the same. People leave, people join. So it's going to be really interesting to see. But I'll let you take us through what the map veto actually was, because I'll be heading into the map. Which is
exactly.
So I can quickly give you the rundown.
Go ahead.
Do you want to give the rundown? So
as expected, you do the rundown.
Brunel banned Fracture. Swansea banned Haven, Brunel banned Breeze, Swansea banned Descent, Brunel banned Bind, and so we are going to Icebox to start. Not a map we expect to ever see as these maps go through. Generally, we expect to see, as we said, Haven, Bind, Descent, and we'd even see Split get banned or picked. It's just falls so far through the ranking, but Fracture was the one. It went at the very first round. No one was interested in playing that one, but we are now going to see the players locking it in their agent picks, and it's going to be interesting to see who does go what. But interestingly enough, I do recognize one name.
Yeah, which is?
The attacker Sage, the name of Jinhua. Do you remember that from the previous season?
I'm going to have to give it a really, really hard thought, but actually, no, I don't.
It's very similar to Juma. And I hope this isn't the same player and changed their name, but they were both Sage players. And I find it hilarious that we've got to this point where two people with very similar names. But just to go through the teams, obviously, Hazi on Sage, KQ on Reyna, Killer on Viper, Gorilla on their favoured Sova pick. They love that pick. And then Mag picking up Jet. And then we have Oscar on Sova, Milka on Jet. We have Jinhua on Sage. We have Banana. Is what they've told us is how they actually do their name outside of the writing on the Viper, and Leon on the Reyna. So it's basically a mirror match.
It's identical.
It is identical teams. This is Viper's potentially best map. It's the one you always want to see it on. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they have a good showing on it as well. Hopefully so. This is actually the first time, really, really bizarrely, the first time that you and I have actually casted a single matchup in which two teams have picked the exact same agents. Everyone has got their own doppelganger. It is going to basically screw with my marbles to the point that I will have goop dripping out of my ears. It is going to be hilarious to see exactly how we're going to fit this through. But I just love the fact that, we've got basically a set of doppelgangers on our hands right here. Yeah, and that's always going to be the dream you want for this one, just to try and pick up opening games as soon as you can. And pistol is always important. Interesting decision that they have gone to sort of default the map with multiple players putting across, but also seeing quite an aggressive defense. We're seeing Sage pushing up the mid as much as possible, Reyna matching it as well as the Sova Dart does go in. This will signal the first push hit the site. The first bullets start to ring out across the map.
And we do have Hazi actually a couple seconds right over there. Oof. At the very least, Spike has gone down over towards that B bomb site as Leon gets a little bit aggressive and try to push in through that Viper smoke, met by Killua and decapitated. Now, unfortunately enough, the offense, they find themselves in a 2v5 situation to hold on to this post line. Banana finds one onto Hazi, but unfortunately enough, that's the only thing that they'll be able to accomplish as Kiku comes on and cleans things up with the triple kill. Lovely use of the frenzy right over there to just simply decimate everyone, and I mean literally everyone on the side of Swansea.
Yeah, and the frenzy is a really devastating weapon if you, especially in these pistol rounds where the armor's so low and it's got such a massive rate of firepower. You get two headshots, the opponents just vanish before they even do anything. And actually, we saw Swansea caught a little bit by surprise. Hazi was able to get a kill in mid. Was able to take out Oscar as they tried to rotate through. They did get an early kill on the site, but it was just one of those ones where they just weren't able to capitalize on it. They lost too much too early. They lose two players almost instantly, and then it's a 3v5. And even on pistol rounds, even with the spike down, which was important, it just wasn't enough as we see the new Arcane Sheriff skin coming out. And there's a very aggressive Jet looking for it, but they're not able to find anything so far. Players are going to start to distribute in as the first things go through. Mac picks up the first kill. The Jet does remove their doppelganger, and the hit comes through now. Starting pushing through with the pistols, it's going to be hard to make it through.
Definitely. So Swansea already relegated to just one sole survivor, and that is Oscar, and you know for a fact that he probably doesn't stand a single chance in hell whatsoever. Keiko just farming in a little bit of extra cash with that frenzy as opposed to using his primary, the Bulldog, but still, that was to be expected. It was, as we usually dub it, the save round, the bonus round, as some would like to call it, for the T side, and that's completely fine. They were basically just keeping all of their funds, but now they've been able to dish all of that out and actually pick up a much more grander arsenal by the looks of things. We got Vandals as well as full armor to go around. On the opposing side, a couple of weapons have been dropped in lieu of those Spectres. We still got Mag rocking the Scout as well, which is going to, you know, obviously two-shot body shot kill, and when you compare it together with the SMGs that the rest of the CTs have brought, then yeah, it should actually work out all so nicely. Kilo already deep inside of enemy territory over towards Long, finds a double, will be taken out by Milka as well in retort. Even things out relatively easily before Swansea could get away with it.
Yeah, the challenges Swansea have got is, yes, they have weapon advantage, but there's still numbers parity, which is good for attackers generally. The number parity trades are always positive as the drone's going to come out and find them, but they're so heavy to commit without the numbers behind them, if that makes sense. So they're going into places, they're making trades, but there's no follow-up. This is the third round that they've made a commitment, but it's not been a full commitment. Like Oscar in the last round was stood behind the Viper smoke, and the team's just completely died around him. But the drone's going to go in now. We're going to see the L drone try and find one in. See if they can find this one player that's hidden at the back of site. They know that they're going to make the hit now. The rotation's already coming through, but the spike's already on site being planted, and they're just using the drone to try and time some players out as they wait for them to rotate and take the weapon advantage. Let's see what they play for. The Sova's going back, try and use the utility, those shock darts to keep them alive as the return dart comes in from Swansea. They're going to find one player underneath. They didn't kill it in time, but it's going to be hard still to do this. They're going to fire some shock darts out, but trades are already coming through.
Oh lord, it's already down to a 2v2 scenario with weapon advantage. Swansea are not really putting up their best efforts right over here. Defuse starting to come on through, successfully denied by Milka as we're relegated to a 1v1 scenario, and Keiku, narrowly had to stick the reload as he ran out of bullets inside of that Vandal, but lucky enough, Milka was there to pick up the slack for the side of Swansea, and I gotta say, that got desperately close for Swansea. Naturally, they did, all in all, have the weapon advantage compared to those Spectres, Bulldog, and Scout that was brought out by the defense. I honestly thought that that would have been much more of a steamroll. And despite the fact that the likes of Brunel were actually so far away from setting foot on the bomb site the moment the spike got down, but keep in mind, we had a gap of roughly 10 to 15 seconds to work with before the defense could get back in contention, and they nearly pulled it off as well, which is a bit worrisome for me.
Yeah, and it was almost a devastating round. One player survives with a rifle, the rest of them have got nothing left. You saw the money, it's like op versus, but it doesn't matter. It's a beautiful run, moving head, well, beautiful counter strafe there to get the first kill, and that's really good if you're on the side. You get a hold of an extra rifle, well, depends what they can get to. It looks like it's hidden behind that sage wall, and there's an op in play. That Viper wall does a lot of work, and they need to try and find a place to get in now with the defense. They're a player down. They are going to send the L drone in, but it's still going to be hard to get out there, even with the weapon advantage they do have. They've managed to find an extra couple of rifles here and there, but
it's going to be tough as Leon goes in for the first swing, manages to get a double. He's on for a triple, ladies and gents, as Hazy actually managed to get super aggro, finds 3 kills for their troubles, as Mag retorts. Hazy, Lord, oh Lord, this little sage that could, honestly, right over there, putting that Vandal to such good use and kind of just waltzing in through the park as if it was nobody's business. Not exactly sure if that was just pure instinct or had he went so far down the rabbit hole that he decided to commit. It worked out. Quadra kill now bagged for the support player, and a third round, not necessarily in a row, but a third round for Brunel.
That was so big. That it was just Hazy's decision to get the 2 kills and then run through the wall.
Exactly.
The wall that had been created meant that Leon was never able to get the trade kill. Mags drops the op for a rifle, and then wall bangs them to death. But now the money's starting to build up. Again, it's still very touch and go. If Brunel lose this one, their money is in horrendous position.
Shambles.
It's still going to be pretty hard. This is super aggressive from Killer here. I wouldn't be choosing this as the fight you want to take. You know your opponents are going to be on light weapons, and pistols at close range plus a jet ult is just going to destroy the player. That gives them a free rifle, and now you're going to see 2 players rotating. The wrong decision to make because the spike is going to A, but numbers advantage might be enough even at pistols and sheriffs, but it's just a poor decision there from Brunel on the defense to go super aggressive into a light buy.
Keiku already is able to call out that there's a multitude of players ingressing towards that A bomb site, and now, well, Swansea know that the hit has to come now or never. Sage Wall goes down, blocking off any kind of rotation, and there it is. Successful post play now secured as Mag lights things up and decapitates Oscar. Head cleaved cleanly off his shoulders with the op. Mid, actually, Milka goes down. That is a bit unfortunate, and now Swansea are left in a 5 versus 1 as Jin was cleaned up super duper quickly. Recovered rifle, despite the fact that it was salvaged by Banana, it could not be put to good use. And Keiku is just on an absolute roll. Despite the fact that they are playing on Arena, they have been landing multi-kill after multi-kill on this defense rounds, and I love to see that. 5 rounds in and they have 11 to their name. That is redonkulous.
Yeah, and to be fair, that should have gone Swansea's way. They got the opening kill, and then they got no more, which is just really surprising when they put themselves in a position where it was real touch and go, because they lose the first player, puts themselves at a player disadvantage. They then leave the site, which allows other players to get in onto the action. And then they just weren't able to close out the round, and that's disappointing, I think, if you're on the side of Swansea. That should have been yours for the taking, but Op in play, it doesn't find anyone to start with, but it's always got to be scared, especially when you look and you only have a Viper. If the Viper wall's in the wrong place, then you're not getting anything else. And a little bit of a tickle does come through, and they have managed to push themselves onto the site. They aren't going to find the first one, but can they find the Sova? That's a chunk with that dart. That dart was insane.
Oh, and Mag is able to keep all of Swansea at bay right over there. An utter collapse on the attacker's side, despite the fact that they got the spike down, which is there's a little bit of extra cash in their back pockets. I've got to say that these A-holds have been looking so scary from Brunel. I mean, they're not giving Swansea a single inch to work with, and it doesn't even matter if the spike goes down or not, because their retakes are just as good as the anchorage on the side of Brunel. I'm pretty sure that they're well on their way to actually securing themselves an 11 to 1.5 if they keep playing like this. On the side of Swansea, they're just currently throwing something and everything at the wall, seeing what sticks, but so far, nada. They are once again relegated to an eco round.
Yeah. I don't even know. Gorilla killed Milka with a shock dart. So the first shock dart chunked them to 70, then the other one went up over the top of the wall. They just couldn't. Swansea just can't find a foothold in this map. They are getting blown away every single time. They'll take sight, they'll get in. He doesn't quite get the shot in time. Killer does get away with it this time. The interesting thing that I'm really struggling with for Swansea at the moment is that they're taking sight, but that's it. They just haven't been able to hold the sight at all, and it looks like they're going to come back here now. It was a good layer, but that's a spam through the wall, and he's going to get a bit of that health back, but it's not a lot, and it's going to be a struggle now to try and take the side with players rotating.
Yeah.
But it's a 5v3. It's still hard with pistols versus rifles.
It certainly is. This is going to be really, really tough.
Good.
That dart was excellent, not gonna lie, as Hazy is just once again barging his way back over towards the attacker's spawn to the best of his abilities. 5v2 scenario. Banana trying to tap away with that revolver. Finds the head of Hazy, surprisingly enough, so maybe not all hope is lost. Or so I once thought. He actually finds a kill onto Killua as well, so it's starting to look a little bit more salvageable for the side of Swansea, despite my better judgment. They're putting up quite the fight.
The problem they have is that they don't have the spikes, they can't rotate. They can take gunfights, they can probably win a lot of them, but it just doesn't matter right now. But that is going to pop the ult here for the side of the defenders. And op versus rifle, if you can swing the corner at the right time, he's going to get it. But that's a pretty scary proposition to be finding a Reyna with an ult and a rifle and the kill, and he's going to dismiss away. And oh my God, it's looking bad for them now.
This is looking bad for them, but at the exact same time, you gotta say that that was a valiant effort on the side of Swansea. It was just inches away from actually being the eco round of miracles right over there. And it came down to a 2v2 scenario. Arguably, probably the closest scenario in which Swansea actually came to a W, and it was off of an eco round. We just need to actually have them transfer that kind of philosophy and that kind of gameplay over towards these rifle rounds so we can actually have a competitive matchup.
I think the biggest thing for me in that round is the first round Swansea haven't hard committed.
They were kind of loose with their take.
Yeah, they lost a couple of players early, but the others didn't just bowl in after them. They took their time. They took a couple of seconds extra. They decided on what they were going to do, and I think that might be the way they have to win this one. The only way they can do this is to get back into this game is to just slow it down, and decent trades to come through for the attackers is one going down But now they need to find another. Oh, they do find another one. Hazzy does go down. Mag trades it back for Jinwa. 3v3 still good for the attackers, and they are going to get the spike plan down. They know where the op is now. They know where the players are, but they need to find this Reyna sooner rather than later. That's beautiful from Milka staying up high. And now they know the Sova. They know where both these players are. That's the big thing that they have. They know the information for where they are. So they're playing super aggressive in here while that drone goes through. That confirms the position of the jet.
Oh my.
Oh, Gorilla, what are you aiming at?
I don't know, but we know that he was being aimed at by Milka as Mag has to use the Sheriff to get the job done. Operator is still in play, but can't whip it out. In the nick of time, Leon is able to get him through the wall as well, and that was a very, very interesting take, to say the very darn least, on the side of Swansea. It was the first time that they had actually thought to themselves, and the IGL of their side said, hey, we're not going to go try to barge into the bomb site, whether it be A or B directly. We're actually going to wrap in through mid and then take the short side just underneath the terminal. And that worked out damn well splendidly. And we could actually see on the side of Brunel, they had two players that were actually reading into that. It was both Mag as well as Gorilla that wrapped in through a bomb site to meet that aggression over towards mid, but they were caught off guard. I love that take on the side of Swansea, and I hope we get to see more of it.
Oh, that's an unlucky shot for Mag to miss there. Oh my goodness, what was that shot by Milka?
Just rancid.
Takes him out in midair. That is disgusting. And they're going to get a second one as they hit site, and Swansea have started to come alive a bit now. This is the team that's at 8 wins, and you can start to see why. Hazzy is going to get down Banana, but site definitely belongs to the side of Swansea, and that's another one down. And this is what they need to be doing if they're on the side of this is what they need to be doing on the side of Swansea. They just need to try and make some inroads into this scoreline deficit. They were 2 rounds now back to back.
Yeah,
it's kind of what you want to be seeing. The other thing as well is that, and obviously with this round sort of drawing out, it's going to be a win here for Swansea. They've allowed themselves now 2 rounds to take a breath. The problem a lot of the games they've been playing is that they've never just taken a breather. They've just hit the ground and just run at them. And it's one of those things that can work. Like, there are situations where, as a team, you can get too aggressive, you can get too confident. And I don't think it's overconfidence. I just think it's a strategy that they found that's worked for them.
Yeah.
But now it's not. And now they need to change. And it's good to see that they've made that change. They've made a substantial change. Those 2 rounds have felt very different to the first 7. And now we're at 6-3. Now we're starting to move back into it. We're in our stride. We've got 2 rounds back to back. The money is starting to come in. Now we're at a position where even if they lose this round, they can buy again. But it's now Brunel that are in a position where if they lose this round, they have no money.
Exactly.
That's dangerous. But they're going for it. They've got the op back in the hands of Mag. They've been doing real good work on this op. And that start is going to give them some information. Oh, it's going to find them all through mid, but they're already through. The smoke's gone, and the ult comes out here from Sova, the Hunter's Fury. Mag's going to get the first player through. They're not going to be able to find Hazzy yet. He's taken a very swift exit from this position. Oh, he's not lineup through the uprights.
Yeah, that lineup could have definitely been it. Mag misses a second shot, a little bit uncharacteristic for the signature op right over there, but at the very least, Swansea have barged their way onto the bomb site. It is still all even Steven, but as Hazzy tries to go on in, he gets shut down instantaneously. 4v3 now with so many players on the side of Swansea on minimal HP. Keiku and Killu a double down for each of their own. Leon is going to retort with 1 for himself. The last 2 players are simply cleaned up by Mag, spraying away with that classic. It was a kerfuffle and a half, but at the very least, darn least, Brunel were able to thrive in all of that chaos.
Oh my goodness, Hazzy, it was just lined up so perfectly. He walks into the Viper's ult. 2 players not looking at him. Banana just 180 head taps him. What was that 180? That's insane.
I don't know.
I mean,
it was crazy.
And that was despite getting funneled in with the Hunter's Fury. They got pushed. They had to go fast. But Kaiku managing to go in, gets a kill kills Banana within there, managed to drop the ult down, the Viper's pit down, and then it's just sort of a bit of a cleanup crew. But it just, oh my goodness me! I mean, if you're Hazzy, you must be typing, going, "What was that? That was insane."
Clip it.
Jump Peak's gonna find someone.
Exactly, clip and put into the highlight reel. Keiko already so far advanced up, can't make this Vandal work for the time being, and as he tries to spray it down, can't tame the recoil, will be cleaned up by Jinhwa instead. Already within the first couple of seconds, we find ourselves in a 5v3, quickly converted into a 4v3 as Killua is trying to hold down the fort to the best of his abilities. Thus far, these strides that the side of Swansea, they've been starting to pay off, but Mag is able to actually narrow the gap, creating a little bit of extra space as his feedsies will take a little bit of damage courtesy of Milka. The last 2 or 3 remaining players on the side of Brunel relegated to only using a single avenue to go back up. Mag already popping in the ult as well to see what work can be done. As the defuse starts to come on through, Leon, that's a prompt for him to go aggressively. Oscar finds one as well. Milka to close it on off every single player on the side of Swansea, chiming in with their own kill in that 3v3 scenario to ensure that they walk away with the dub. And now we've got the very last round of the first half on our hands, and it's starting to look a little bit dire for the side of Brunel as they are short on funds.
Definitely favour the last round going to Swansea here, but the big thing is there they played for their post plant. They got the Sova off site. They did play close with Leon in behind that spray. Only 28 HP is fine, but they played for the ult. They heard the tap. They used the Hunter's Fury to push them back off. But actually, the big pick there was Banana getting rid of the player in mid. They pushed up into the tube, and it meant that they got the trade kill to go start with, and now it's going to be the Sheriff versus Rifle. And actually, that's a well, speaking of rifles, oh my god, the Reyna absolutely destroying the first 2 players. The Empress there, the up rate of firepower as well as the ability to dismiss away coming up huge, and they have the spike. That's big for the side of on the big side of the defenders here, Brunel. This is the way they get to 8 and 4. The Viper's pit going to go as well. They're going to find the first player, but it's just not going to matter. They found them in the pit, but 2 players fall down straight away. Kaiku picks up the 3rd for the round. This Empress is huge this round. Killer gets another one. And what really surprises me is they had the drone. They picked one out, but they weren't able to capitalize on it. And 5 players. It's a flawless round so far with 1 player left alive. And I mean, Oscar, you're in a horrible position as it is. You're going to get found by that recon dart, and it's time to hightail away. But that Viper's pit sat right across that spike. And you're not going to get hold of that anytime soon. And this is much better from Brunel, actually. They played to their power. They played to the power. They didn't have a lot of weapons, but they were able to find the perfect timing on the perfect player. Kaichi's going to get their 4th, and the Empress there coming up huge. One of the only players that did have a rifle in that round, and they were able to make it work beautifully as they now switch to be the attackers.
Yeah,
at 8-4. Good.
That is one thing. That is one thing that I did want to touch on. Keep in mind that was a force round on the side of Brunel. Right? They had 2 hero Vandals in play with tons of light armor and then a couple of Spectres thrown in. And they were able to clean that up flawlessly. It just goes to show that when you get the right weapons and the right resources in the arms of your primary fragger, in this case, Keiku, who has just been an absolute star thus far on Icebox with the Reyna, and perfectly timing that ult, the Empress, saving it for the very, very last round when they knew that, we maybe don't stand the best chance of actually getting ourselves that 8-4 split. Because of the fact that they properly managed all of their ults throughout that entire first half, or at the very least the latter half of that first half, they were able to make such an impact that rippled throughout the entire map right over there. Keiku has easily stolen my MVP award for tonight simply off of that. Just the Hero Vandal coming in, decimating every single one of the attackers that was trying to flood the A bomb site and getting control of the bomb nevertheless. It was just a really, really great sight to see. And that, as I said, is going to get themselves that 8-4 split as now they move on to the attacker half.
Yeah, and I think it's just an interesting one to point out that it just happened to be the Reyna. If you're going to give one player or one agent the opportunity to have a fight back and give them the ability to heal, to overheal back to 150, that's the one you want. And it was done within the Empress Ultimate. We all know how powerful that Empress Ultimate is, but it's also, they hit the same place. They hit the one place where the Reyna was with the rifle. They also had the spike, and basically, they didn't throw the round away specifically.
No, they didn't.
But they made it almost impossible for themselves, because the spike was probably too aggressive at that point. They probably hadn't drawn enough pressure away into mid. Remember the Jet had jumped up onto the ramp and was having a fight with Gorilla's Sova. But it's kind of like one of those ones where you just felt that it was looking really good, and then they decided to hit, and only 2 players went in. Well, they kind of went in. They went in as 2, but they kind of went in as 2 1v1s, which sounds a bit strange. But basically, it was like, let's do 2 1v1s, which gives 2 kills to the Reyna, and then the Viper comes in and drops the Viper's pit. And you just have to feel that you could have taken a bit more time, played off of mid a bit harder, use the pressure that Jet was putting up there, because in a fight versus Sovi, yes, the Sheriff is very good in that position. A head tap can kill at that range, but it's still a real disadvantage. But obviously, welcome back to the casters. My name's JP Cast, and Two Doors taking you through the action here today. And we were just discussing that first half there. There is a tech pause currently. Believes there is some lag issues for both Sova players at the moment, but actually
seems to have been resolved.
Looks like we're going back in quite quickly, so ignore the one. So on to pistol now, and it's kind of like, this is where Swansea need to make their stand. If they lose these next 2 rounds, that's 10-4. That's a 6-round deficit. 6-round deficits are very, very hard to come back from. There isn't the 9-3 curse, it is an 8-4. But it's going to be really interesting here. The decision to bring the drone here from Gorilla is really interesting. They don't have double shot dart for the post plan, but Kaiku doesn't care. Kills the first player off, and what could have gone badly straight off is gone well for them so far. Leon gets 2, so the Reynas are here doing a lot of work, and up in heaven, Mag is going to find the first kill.
Uh-oh, this is not all too great right over here for Brunel, as they are left in a 2v3 scenario. Spike is still in their possession as well, but they don't exactly have enough space to try to get it down. That's the issue. Gorilla's currently just going to hold his ground, but he's actually read into. Banana is able to cleave him through the wall as well. That is just a little bit disrespectful, but at the exact same time, beautiful game sense on the side of Banana to ensure that that was going to be, in every sense of the matter, a Swansea round. And this is exactly what they needed, because if they weren't able to actually step up the race pace in that initial pistol round, then as you said, they would then have a gap of 6 rounds to narrow down, unless they were to force into to force into round number 14 right over here. Really, really tough position, but at the very least they made it work. And now they're able to likely back themselves a 6th round, putting the scoreline at 8-6 before the side of Brunel can actually remain a bit competitive with those Vandals and Rifles next time.
It's still dangerous because there is a shotgun hidden in B, so if they decide to come too aggressive, it is going to hurt them. But it looks like they're going to make a fast push in here, up through mid. Going to use pistol close range to try and get some players, and there is going to be a gunfight here. They're not going to come through. Leon just get one, but Hazi and Killer just do not care. Leon, the hero of the first round, is just not going to have any impact now, and 2 players go down. Yamura is able to get one, but the Rifles have now gone across, and Kaiku does not make any mistakes with these weapons. When they get their hands on a decent gun, they're going to make the most of it, and Milka coming in as a late reflank from their original position.
He does find one onto Keiku as well. He's got 2 more players to power through in order for a successful defuse to come on off. Hazi finds one, and that is a little bit of a light up that Milka probably should have confirmed. Spots out Hazi, gets the dink and the confirmation. Mag, the last player alive, will easily go down to a try shot as well. He's going to try to stick the defuse, and for now, it's all down to Mag to see if they can react quickly enough. Second smoke dropped, but Milka decides to exit in the CQB engagement against that shotgun. You can't make it happen. You got to spray a little bit faster, but he gets it. Does he have time for the defuse? It is just going to be on the wire, and he's able to get it, I think, as he dies as well. No, they actually didn't get it. We were talking about a gap of milliseconds. Oh, Lord.
0.41 seconds remaining to defuse. Just took too long to find them.
Oh no, that is heartbreaking. That is heartbreaking if you're a Swansea fan right over here, or if you're a Brunel. No wait, if you're a Swansea fan right over here. Excuse me. Team names are sometimes a little bit goofy, but oh man, that was just so unfortunate. And I'm talking about only if Milka had, for example, actually landed a couple of those try shots much earlier, because it took him like 4 try shots before he finally got the frag onto Mag. Then he could have gotten the defuse in successfully. We're talking about the tiniest of margins that can make or break a round.
Really challenging when you are in those positions, because you're under a huge amount of pressure, and you make the decisions come off after going halfway. You always feel super bad when it then doesn't work out for you. But this is an MTA side, by the way. I love the decision that Swansea made to stack the B site. It's actually one of those interesting things that people don't do in solo queue that can actually win you quite a lot of solo queue games. If you're on a pistol round or on a low buy round, just stack a site. You actually stand the chance of getting kills. But on this occasion, they decided to stack the wrong site. But First kill does come through for Milka, does get rid of Mag, but the trades come through instantly and still 5v4v1. Leon, hello. Shot to the face.
Yeah, exactly.
Buck shot, but it doesn't matter. And so just going back to what I was saying, because these sort of rounds are normally quite over quite quickly. As a defender, really strange thing to think. If you're a defender, and this is something you can do in solo queue, and I've done it myself and it does work. If you're on an eco buy round, there is a lot of benefit to going, well, let's just stack a site, because if you pick the right site, it's a 5v5, and actually you have a chance of getting some weapons or kills. If you just default multiple players across the map, there's no point. You're going to get picked off. There's very little chance you do anything. Power in numbers is where you want to be with pistol rounds. But now we're back to rifles, Vandals, and Phantoms across the board. No ops in operation here. Milka is playing so aggressive right now, and
this is a gamble that just narrowly was able to pay off. Milka had to take a split second to actually get rid of the Lear, which was costly to say the darn least, as Leon retorts with one of his own. He gets a second, and that's also control of the spike. Going in for the third, secured! As Killua and Keiku try to claw back into the favor of Brunel. It's back down to a 2v1. We've seen Keiku, the star player within the server, pop off multiple times. He's already surpassed 25 kills. He needs to make it so much more, but he doesn't stand a chance against the dual peak. The wide swing comes out from both Jinhua as well as their teammate, the Viper, being Banana, but couldn't stand a chance. At the very least, right now, things are starting to brighten very, very, very well for the side of Swansea. They had a little bit of a scuffed round number 14, because of the fact that they had to force, and as you said, they took that gamble towards stacking the B-bomb set, but now they're clawing it back into their favor, right? They've been able to narrow the gap back down to 4 rounds, and given the fact that this is a scuffed buy on the side of Brunel, the odds of them coming even closer to equalizing up the scoreline starting to skyrocket.
Yeah, and Leon there saving the blushes of his Jet Milker as he went in there. He got 3 kills out of nowhere before getting traded out, and even though
literally
KQ had popped the Empress ultimate, it was still like a 3v1 at that point, and they do manage to get the kill as they pick up the spike, but that was huge by Leon. Like, they dragged their team kicking and screaming across the finish line just there, as here comes the Sage Wall in. Oh no, he misses all of them. They were right in front of you. You can't do that. You can't miss those shots. The Sage Wall just tried to push through too aggressively through their own Viper wall. Hazzy, you are so lucky to be alive.
And Keiku, at the very least, can spot out a little bit more information as to where Oscar is deep inside of CT. I don't think they are aware of the fact that Milka's up on the high ground. And it's kind of like the most expected place to actually find a Jet, but still, execution yet to actually come to fruition on their side. They're waiting for these Viper walls to expire before they can put up their own Sage Wall. Keiku trying to duel things out with the likes of Mag up above, but unfortunately enough can't land the shots, as Leon has also popped the Empress to try to hold down the fort. Oscar finds one onto Keiku, and the Empress will be cleaned on up. Leon goes down as Jinro retorts. We're back in a 4v3 scenario, favoring the defense as they are holding down the fort with the bomb and the spike, I should say. It's actually in a very unrecoverable position, and they're starting to run out of time. We've hit mission critical. The timer's starting to flash red with 10 seconds left. We gotta have Brunel make some kind of move, but it's starting to get a little bit more iffy. You can actually get as many kills as you want. Magan, just as about the clock was about to expire. We were 2 seconds away from hitting 000, and Mag just goes nuclear with a triple kill in the dying seconds of the round.
How does Mag do that? There was like no time left. Like
there was none.
Almost 0 seconds remaining. Oh my goodness me, that was insane. But how did they pull that one out? There was like, what? There was.
I initially thought that Swansea took the round. I'm not even kidding. I thought Swansea took the round because time expired, and then Mag just comes in and says, "No, shut the heck up. We take this round. It's ours."
It was so good, and Brunel came out of nowhere. They were down to 3 players, 2 blinking health bars, and Banana. Okay.
Yep. Eaten up.
That was not ideal.
Gobbled up by Keiku. It's just what he does.
They just walked into the opening with their knife out. Like, what? Am I missing something here?
No, they were just literally caught with their pants around their ankles. Unfortunate.
That was disastrous. Yeah. That was. Mag does also pop the ultimate player advantage to the attackers, especially on these sorts of rounds. Should be the one they're going to see Oscar peek their shoulder around the corner, and that's going to be up to the teams to see what they can do with the remaining time left.
Milka, Was able to even things out, but Killua, he is wrapping in from behind, biding his time as he manages to skewer Oscar. Keiku chimes in. Milka finds one, but at the end of the day, it is just all down to Leon, and he gets cleaned up by Mag and his twisty little knives that are just, well, flying out through the air the same way that he does, and that is Brunel comfortably claiming match point all to themselves, 1 round away from bagging Icebox and adding another win to their sheet thus far. And I gotta say, it is almost entirely actually just coming right off the bank of Keiku's performance. The man has been able to nearly drop 30 kills over the course of 18 rounds. It is ridiculous. A performance like this is something that I haven't come across in such a long time.
Yeah, these sorts of performances are not normal. They do happen. And when they do, they are a joy to watch, but they are few and far between as Gorilla's going to start this one off. Drone's going to go in, going to find someone. They are going to get the tags, so they know where Oscar is now. But again, it doesn't matter too much. It's one player. There was no one pushing in behind the drone, so they can't make any punishment on that advancement. So they have used the owl drone. There is no more owl drone this round, so they're going to be reliant on the recon dart to make their way in. There's Oscar's drone's going to try and spot them out. They're going to see some players. They are going to tag one now. Leon's going to get the first kill. That's big on Mag. The defender's picking one up to start with on their way back. There are so many rounds behind. They need to make this work. They're just going to get Gorilla. That's another big kill, but the Sage Resurrection. They're trying to find a player, but they're at the wrong position. They're up in the air, buddy. You can't find them there.
No charges left.
Killua, at the very least, able to even out the count, and now that's going to be, well, actually further because Hazi sticks the resurrection. And Milka, though, retorts, finds his doppelganger as Jinhua is just inches away from locking horns with Keiku, but Keiku gets the better of them and manages to just seep even further back into the shadows. Man advantage still on the side of Brunel as they are looking to prematurely end off Icebox. Viper ult goes wild as Milka wraps in from behind. This could be massive, but Keiku is simply better. Shuts him down, and the last player alive, Banana, doesn't stand a chance in hell. Keiku probably topped 30 frags throughout the course of Icebox. 19 rounds in, and I'm pretty sure that has been the big 30 right over there. Stellar. Not even stellar. I need to actually whip up a thesaurus to find out exactly what word is worthy of describing Keiku's performance right here.
Looks like they hit 30 exactly, which is big. That's a huge, huge performance there. And Keiku started off a little bit slow. We saw sort of Mag and Hazi running away from it really at the beginning, but Keiku really pulled it back at the end and really put up a huge performance there on the Reina, and quite dominating actually from the team of Brunel. Definitely a bit of a surprise there. We weren't expecting it to be quite as dominant as that against Swansea, but it does mean that they move to 8 wins. Swansea stay on 8, so they now join up level at the top of the leaderboard. Still a great position for Swansea. Like, you're 8 wins now and 1 loss. It's pretty still respectable, but they definitely have a lot to learn from that game. Talking of your drawing board, they kind of need to go pick it up themselves, because they made, I would say, some interesting decisions to start.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say they were fundamental errors, but they definitely made some interesting decisions in those first few rounds where they just basically just ran onto site and just hoped that it would work. And it didn't. They got absolutely blown up. They were 6-1 down at one point. They pulled it back to an 8-4, which is respectable at that point, but they were just never able to get a foothold. And especially on the defense, the defense of Brunel looked solid for the majority of the time. There were definitely some weaknesses. Their mid holds were a little bit lacking, and I think what I would have liked to have seen is the side of Swansea go through mid a lot more. There was a lot of instances where they'd go mid, they send a couple of players, but then they wouldn't wait long enough and they'd hit A and they'd lose the round.
Yeah.
So A was like a fortress. It was really strong for the side of Brunel on defense. B was 100%. A bit okay, but mid was probably the biggest weakness that Brunel had. So if any other team is looking to play against Brunel on this map again, Brunel probably need to start looking at shoring up mid a little bit more, because that was probably the best place that Swansea were able to attack from. But then on the attack, just Swansea never found a footing. They weren't able to do a lot. They were 13-6. They picked up 2 rounds on the defense. They just couldn't ever. They could never find a foothold to hold a bomb site. They just they try and take gun duels. They'd win some, they'd lose some, but generally they just never were able to, as I say, find a footing on the defense.
Yeah, it was a really, really tough pickings on the side of Swansea. And, despite the fact that before the match had actually taken place, these two teams, they were like roughly neck and neck for pole position, with Swansea being seed number 1 and Brunel being right behind them with 7 wins. Now, they've technically just edge their way up towards the level of Swansea Academy right over here. So they are basically neck and neck in terms of wins and points. Like on paper, this would have arguably been the closest matchup that we would have actually been able to broadcast for everyone at home. And it turned out to be relatively lopsided just because of the fact that Brunel had such a strong defense. An 8-4 split, regardless as to how common you want to dub it, it was still a very, very strong showing. And it all, I don't want to say that all of it technically happened because of Keiku's bombastic performance, but he certainly played a large role in the eventual success on both their defensive and offensive half. But still, Brunel just showing us exactly how dominant they can be. And there were also a couple of really, really miraculous eco rounds and a couple of forced rounds that certainly set them up right for success, to the point that Swansea struggled with maintaining the race pace. And I did have a little bit of a bit, prepared. For those of you guys that don't know, I've got a whiteboard in my room over here. And for those of you guys that want to go back to a drawing board, like, hit me up. It's like right here behind my chair. Any coaches that want to use it, just, let me know. I got a whiteboard right there. It's fine. But that is actually going to do it for our opening matchup of the evening. But fret not, because we got plenty more action coming right your way in just a couple of minutes. We're going to hop on for a short little break, get ourselves rested and prepared for the next matchup, but we'll be back to continue the rest of the evening. See you guys in a bit.
At SteelSeries, we make the headsets, mice and keyboards that the world's best gamers win the most with. And we've been doing it since way back.
Due to continued innovation and product development with leading professional gamers around the world, SteelSeries is the #1 brand for professional gaming gear.
Congratulations, who wins it? The Na'Vi to take the grand final 3-1.
A lot's changed since then, but one thing always stays the same: winning. Every pro that picks up a SteelSeries product pushes its limits. That's what makes us push ours. It's up to you how far you go, but whatever you do, go for glory. At SteelSeries, we make the headsets, mice, and keyboards that the world's best gamers win the most with. And we've been doing it since way back.
Due to continued innovation and product development with leading professional gamers around the world, SteelSeries is the #1 brand for professional gaming gear.
Congratulations, who wins it? The Navi to take the grand final 3-1.
A lot's changed since then, but one thing always stays the same: winning. Every pro that picks up a SteelSeries product pushes its limits. That's what makes us push ours. It's up to you how far you go, but whatever you do, go for glory.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Newell. We just concluded our first matchup, and in case if you guys did not tune in, well, let's go ahead and give you the TLDR of it. Swansea, they unfortunately suffered a loss, putting an end to one of their most substantial win streaks that they have had thus far on Icebox. They suffered a defeat of 16-13, courtesy of Brunel. But now we're going to be swapping gears ever so slightly as we have.
16-13?
Not 6-13. I was thinking CSGO. I was thinking
Wait,
Counter-Strike 16-13. That was an entirely different game. Don't worry about it. But now we are going to have the Oxford Brooks Vipers going up against Superman's Alter Ego. As always, my name is Tudor. Alongside me, I've got none other than John. And before we forget, we'd like to quickly give a massive shout out and thank you to our partners, both Intel as well as SteelSeries, for making everything that we actually do right here on the broadcast possible. So thank you to you guys. And now let's go ahead and actually start chatting up these two teams, shall we, John?
Yes. ... Yes. Don't know any players. So no, again, we joked about this at the beginning, but this is another great example. We've commentated on the Oxford Brook Vipers before. The Clark Kent from Kent University. We haven't commentated on them before. I haven't seen them at either the Newell or any of the other events that have been running. So it's going to be really interesting to see this new team. Again, they're one of the up-and-coming teams, this split with the new players that have come in to the university. They've really jumped themselves up. They were in the top 16 alongside the Oxford Brook Vipers. In fact, I believe they're both top 10 teams coming into this round. So it's a big step up for a lot of these players. They're now going to be on stream because the previous weeks have been haven't been streamed. They've just been played competitively. I don't know whether that makes a huge amount of difference, but we literally look through the teams and we don't recognize. Well, I recognize Bentali from the Oxford Brook Vipers.
Yeah, Bentali.
That's it. I don't recognize any of the Clark Kent players, but again, that's a good thing because we get to cast on new players. So similar to what we had in the last round, in the last map we watched between Brunel and Swansea. It's very much a new dawn, I think is probably the best way to put it, for University Valorant that I haven't experienced. I've been doing this for a good few years now. For as long as Valorant's been out. I started obviously in the year that Valorant came out last year.
More or less.
So a good year or so now we've been doing this, and it's the first big rotation of players we've seen. We saw it a little bit last year, but nowhere near to this extent. Like between Valorant's release and then the next year of university, obviously you had a couple of series, but the players and teams stayed similar. Like you had a good feel for who they were. You saw players coming in. You kind of had an idea of who they all were, but this time round, the big changes that we're starting to see come through.
It do be great. It do be a little bit great what is going on.
that.
Obviously, when we are to just sort of like give a head-to-head direct comparison with the map that we just witnessed not too long ago, Icebox Ascent is far more condensed, far less open spaces in general, depending on what kind of viewpoint you have towards the map itself. But the avenues that exist are relatively CQB-esque and can be, as you easily said, easily blocked off. LOS is just simply a luxury, that sort of point that you can't afford, provided you bring out the right agents. And on the topic of agents, let's go ahead and actually see what some of these peeps are going to be locking into. We do see the Astra be brought out by both squads, Johnny Valele as well as J-Kai, locking into the Ugandan agent, if I'm not mistaken. If I might have to catch up on my lore, but just you saying means that I got that one right, so I'm proud of myself. We're going to be seeing Astra for the first time. Yes. Right here at the Newell. This is also the first time me personally where I ever get to cast Astra, because I have been I've been on hiatus away from Valorant for quite some time. So go ahead and give us a short little rundown of how Astra can potentially play into Ascent at a relatively amateur to high pro level.
So there's a couple of different ways that Astra can play into it. The combination with Killjoy is very well known. You put an Astra Star down on top of one of Killjoy's Nanoswarm grenades, and then you use the suck ability. That then keeps them from running away from the Killjoy Nanoswarm grenades. So you can get free kills out of that out of nowhere. The reason she's so good is because you can stand anywhere on the map and drop stars. You can use them. They have 3 modes with the stars. You have effectively your smoke, where it just forms a nice big smoke with a hollow internal, very similar to Omen smokes. You have to wait a second or so after the round starts. They're not instant. It was one of the nerfs she did receive, that it takes about a second to lock in the star after the round starts. And after you lay a star, it takes about a second. You have another one, which is a concussion, where it goes up and effectively fault lines you, but in a circle. And then you have the suction one, which pulls you back in. And you can actually stop people planting the spike with the suction ability. So again, you know where the Astra Star is. You can see it on both players. So you go into a site, you can see the star. You can't do anything about it. You can't kill it or anything. But it definitely makes it a little bit of a mind game when you drop a star down on default plant position. Can sometimes stop players from planting in default, or just make it a little bit harder for them to make the decisions. They may have to plant a bit more open, where you can kind of punish their positioning a lot more.
Yeah, exactly.
But, it's a big play in this one, and obviously then the Cosmic Divide, her ultimate, puts a big line up across the screen. You can't see through it, you can't hear through it. Bullets do go through it, but again, it's very hard to see through, and then that goes down after sort of 20-30 seconds. But it's a nice way to basically get onto a site as sort of similar to a Viper wall, but that's the ultimate ability. It's going to have to see what happens as the first peaks do come through. They're going to try and get Yagami in there, try and get some information as the opening volleys do fire out.
So, defense turret already dealt on with, as the opening hounds those are hawks and eagles, I should say. Bentali! Not exactly sure how he manages to line up double headshots, but I'm pretty sure he didn't even know that J-Kai was on the opposing end of it. Regardless, though, Spike has already gone down. Zyno's got a lovely angle over towards Heaven, and he manages to take care of Little Fudge as well. But in through Garden, Axios is trying to cause a little bit more chaos as Bentali secures his triple kill. It's all down to Yeji in a 1v3 scenario with the defuse already being stuck. He's trying to tap away, but it's a foregone conclusion at this point. He can do his darnest, but at the end of the day, Johnny Valede will claim him. A lovely hold being exhibited super duper early on by the likes of the Oxford Brooks Vipers.
Oh, great defense there, but Tali picking up 2 beautiful opening kills, gets a third one, but at that point it's so far done. The shock dart that actually did come through from the attackers was pretty savage itself. But it just wasn't. It was a bit too little, too late, and it just meant that they weren't able to sort of punish anyone. They had the sight and they couldn't do anything to go back into it. But we're now on to the first force buy round, and I think this is where you're going to start to see a lot of the power come through with the Spectres. But again, you have Ghosts on the other side. There is a very good chance that this eco round can go badly for the attackers if they don't respect the defenders. Defending into the attackers. If you rush aside as the attackers, you can make some real indents with these pistol weapons. We'll have to wait and see what they choose to do in this one.
Yeah, we do have a little bit of a short tech pause coming in. Maybe somebody unplugged their computer to power up their Tamagotchi. Not exactly sure what the causation is, but we are going to come back to our glorious mugs regardless, as we let the tech pause kind of just unravel and fix itself eventually. Still, though, it was a very prominent and hard to deal with defense,
Yeah,
despite the fact that Clark Kent were able to barge their way into the spike bomb site itself relatively quickly, and we did see players such as Yagami as well put up quite the fight in that scenario, getting a couple of peaks, or excuse me, that was actually Xeno who was able to cause a lot of chaos over towards Heaven. It was a valiant effort on their side, but they didn't exactly have the remainder of their positions locked on, such as Garden, no presence over there, and it was just free real estate. But moving into this next round, number 2, as we can pick things up right back where we left them off, all of Clark Kent, they're going to be just sort of gliding their way in through Garden. J-Kai the first to fall as Ixios just sprays him down. Bomb goes down, and the rest of the squad there are lined up inside of Garden. Beautiful flash to go with, and they're able to clean up 2 players. That is detrimental for the Vipers.
Yeah, and it's weapons as well. It's a couple of Spectres, and there is a delayed flank here from ING, and he's going to get killed off here by Bantali, managing to play aggressive into A long. They do get the spike down, so it's 300 credits per player. But it's not going to be long before they fall down as well. The Stinger ain't going to do too much against 3 players running in on them, and they are going to get removed in short order. Do pick up another kill, and they do get some eco damage down, so it's not completely irrelevant. Yagami going down, but to Johnny Valele, and it's a good start here for the side of the defenders, for the Vipers, but it still shows you some of the power level of what the attacking team has. Sky Flash going in, gets 2 of the defenders in prime position, but they're just never able to use their weapons because they're just murdered on where they stand by the flash coming through. And we're now going to see the rifles come in here for the attacking side for Clark Kent. And this is where they need to make it work. We saw in the other round, we saw the Brunel team take at least a 4-0 lead, or sorry, a 3-0 lead, because they won the first round, the second round, and the bonus round. So any damage that can be done here by the Vipers is going to be huge, as it sticks.
Uh-oh, Bantali gets a little bit aggy over towards long, but he goes down really quickly. Johnny Valele peers his way in through the smoke, then he lets that actual Spectre sing a sweet song of death. J-Kai is the next to fall, so we're back on an even footing. It's all even Steven as things stand right now, but I'm pretty sure that Clark Kent have realized that forcing their way in through long is going to be a little bit tough. Obviously, keep those rifles out of the hands of the defense. You don't want them to nab them away from you, so just carry them on over.
Oh, that's clever, that is. They actually throw the rifle away, so as you say, they can't pick it up. That was big. You saw the sort of the pick up and drop as they ran along. That's really hard skill to do, actually. If ever you try it in solo queue, please don't, because you probably end up losing a rifle somewhere on the way.
I do it all the time in CS, and it works out perfectly fine.
I think it's a bit harder to do in Valorant,
Probably.
unless you're on like perfect ping. But again, this is going to be good. The hit's going to come through. They're going to find the player, but it doesn't matter. It's the AJ who comes through, but Axios is going to find another one. It's still 2v2. The door's going to go down. That's a little bit of a tickle onto Yeji, but they are going to get the spike down. You can hear the tone coming through. The door goes down. The fight begins. 1 remaining, and that's disaster for the attackers. They're 1 player left alive. Sorry, 1 player for the defenders. Sorry,
yeah, exactly. Axios has to basically claw this all the way back with nothing but a lowly Spectre. Dreams are running high, but he's already been tagged by a recon bolt, so they know his live location, they know his whereabouts, and all Clark can have to do is hold their ground until the time expires. At this certain point, Axios, really not all that much that he can accomplish, and ING is going to confirm that kill. ING, surprisingly enough, actually did go a little bit bonkers in that initial round, picking up a double kill, if I'm not mistaken, on top of Xino being able to chime in as well. Still, though, that came a little bit too close for comfort on the side of Clark Kent. They lost out on 3 rifles by the time the dust had settled. That not exactly the greatest in terms of long-term economy when you think about it.
No, but they made it through, and that's the big thing. They didn't lose the round. They kept it up, and they have got money. Obviously, 1 player, you might see J-Kai not actually buy anything this round, but he's going to buy Spectre. So he's going to buy in, but you can see the money for 2 players for Yeji and Yagami is okay. But across the rest of the board, whoever loses this round is in a bad position. We're going to see the dueling Sova darts come up here, and the spam throughs just not going to be enough. Lil Fudge is going to fall straight away. Xino just get the kill, and the healing comes in from Yagami.
Axios just knocking him up and, well, actually lining him up and knocking him down. 3v2 right now for Clark Kent. Can they claw it back? It's going to be the question of the century, as they're all stacked up over towards long. And I don't think that the Vipers actually know what's going on. They're stacked up inside of mid, and the metal door can be closed, but the moment that it goes down, they'll know that something's awry. Johnny Valele, sneaking suspicion, and there it is, confirmed, but it gets a lovely little tap onto Yeji as the door had a little gap to work with, and now it's all down to J-Kai, who has to recover the spike in a very precarious position. wrapping in back through CT. He's got 3 different players to deal with that are all stacked up with each other. This is near impossible to accomplish. He gets a dink onto Axios, but can't get the lethal damage in. He will be cleaned up by Bentali, and I've got to say that Axios right over there, being able to secure the spike over by the lever was just grand. That was such a great hold and a really, really well played round from Axios.
Yeah, I don't know if you actually noticed, but that Axios double, the Axios double kill and one for Lewis was all off of the suction star by Johnny Valele. It pulled all of them in, and he just got absolutely hosed.
Yeah.
So it was a little one on the floor. He may not have noticed it, but it absolutely ripped the attackers apart. Lost 3 in a space of about 2 seconds.
Something like that, yeah.
And it just puts you at a huge disadvantage at that point, especially at equal rounds. You're going to struggle to come back from that one.
Yeah, they are certainly going to struggle as the gap has been extended back to 2 rounds for Clark Kent. We've got a couple of hounds and some recon darts coming on in, so they know where Axios is, and he is stuck, as you said, in one of those gravity wells, but he managed to get out relatively successfully. Oh, J-Kai so close, but they got his back turned. Axios whips out the ult, and he's able to clean them up. Oh my goodness. He just sucks them up like a Dyson vacuum at that certain point, and it's all down to Yeji, who is trying to creep and crawl his way in through Garden, but he will be read into by Bentali, and the defense of the Vipers take a 4th round thus far. Super dominant start for them.
Oh my goodness me, that was so painful to watch. They hid behind, I have no idea, they just didn't check all their corners, hid around the corner of the cloudburst and absolutely punished them. Gets out the way, gets out the knives, and still manages to pick up another kill, or well, another 2 kills. That's
bit of a yikes moment.
Pretty soul destroying, I'm not gonna lie, but not as probably a soul destroying as little fudge maybe. They're not feeling this one right now. 0-5, but it's definitely on the winning team. They've got plenty that they can do, especially on the defense where Killjoy really comes alive.
Definitely so. For now, though, a much more reserved approach on the side of Clark Kent. At the very least, they're going to let their util do the talking as Lewis tries to whip out the Odin, but he will be cleaned up by J-Kai. The timing on that could have been... It could have been worse. Honestly, it could have been worse, but Bentali is going to take up the reins inside of Garden to ensure that this position won't fall to the likes of Clark Kent, as the Empress will be popped. He still goes in for a wide swing, but no one presents themselves just yet, as I believe, well, National Communion was popped. ING finds one. Bentali will retort as well. He peers his eyes over towards Yagami, but can't secure the duel for himself. It's a 4v2 scenario for the offense right here, with Clark Kent being in the driver's seat. The A bomb site now open for business as well.
Yeah, and Seekers are out as well, and at least for the side of the Brooks Vipers, the low player is the Sky, so they can't heal themselves at 10 HP, but the spike's about to go down. It's going to be a 4v2 for the side of the attackers, and this is the round they need. They need to try and get some money in their belts, because the Brooks Vipers were starting to run away with it. Axios is trying to find their way around. It's going to be hard work here, but they are at least supporting each other as they come through here, as they come through Garden. They're playing 2 at the same time, but it's potentially a matter of time before they get found out. But they are going to take the swing around the corner and see if they can find anyone. Killjoy utility is still in effect this round, which does help them. Little Fudge is still alive.
Oh, but now or actually his teammate Axios goes down as Little Fudge is trying to pick up the reins, but wrapping in through Garden is going to be Zeno to nail the coffin, and Clark Kent are able to put up a relatively competitive round. And I got to say, the fact that they actually played it so much more conservatively, at the very least in those early stages of the round, and not really revealing their hand too early on, it worked wonders for them. Just
it was really
you know, stepping back, taking a breather, reevaluating the situation, and letting your opponents, in this case the Vipers, make a mistake earlier on.
Yep, and you're right. The main thing they did is they let the Vipers make the mistake, took too many peeks, didn't pay off for them, and they got punished, which was the best thing that Clark Kent could do. But they do bring themselves to 2, which is a good start. But now the op is in play for the defenders. Bentali loves taking this aggressive angle. They're going to kill the wolf before it even gets too much information. The shot dart's going to come through. It's going to catch Johnny Valele, but that guiding light is not going to do too much. Nice pair of shock darts there, but they're not going to pick up more than a little bit of a tickle. He's going to dive away from it. Bentali does get a kill. He's able to dive out of the way and get behind that wall, get behind the Cosmic Divide.
And Bentali still going to hold his ground to the best of his abilities. No information to be found on the side of Clark Kent. Yagami might have to take up the reins, but honestly, Clark Kent, they're going to be in for a rude awakening as Bentelli tries to swing. He will be claimed, and now the spike, it can go down. Axios not in the prime position to contest, but Lewis blindly sprays in through with the Ares. He finds one. Axios doubles down as Zeno tries to claw it back into the favor of Clark Kent. Recon Dart and Bolt goes on out, so now the defense has more extra information to work with, but more importantly, the spike, it's with the Vipers right over here, and Clark Kent will have to put double the effort and double the work to recover that spike and actually secure a plant.
Oh, that's the tickle. They know someone's on site, so they know they have the spike now. The Killjoy utility was able to find it, but they are going to put it in a position where they don't know where it are. That Ares can go through that brick, but I don't know if they're going to take the risk yet. But here comes the defender Killjoy. They could just play for the timing on it. The spam fire coming through, but Zeno is going to get it. They're also going to kill the Killjoy ultimate as well, which allows J-Kai to come up into heaven and finish off the last player. And 3 on the board for the attackers, big, especially being down a couple of rounds early on. A bit of confidence there for the side of the attackers.
Still, though, Clark Kent are ensuring that this matchup is going to remain a relatively close affair thus far, with Zeno obviously taking the charge practically and almost mathematically, getting more kills than the rest of his squad combined, 10 versus the 11 that Yeji, ING, and Yagami J-Kai can all put up on the board thus far. So Clark Kent, they are showing us some signs of life. They are giving us a little bit of a heartbeat, but I think that that's going to be amplified now that, if I'm not mistaken, the buy on the side of the Vipers is not all too much to write home about. I only saw 1 rifle and multiple pistols being brought on out, so this is going to be rough for the Vipers. Yeah.
It looks like it's sheriffs across the board. It's the spam coming through. They're going to kill the bot. Oh, Lil Fudge, you absolute monster. What a kill.
He just had to wait for some poor soul to walk into his LOS, and then all it takes is a small little dink. Yagami's got 2 players on the opposing side of mid to worry about, though, yet to reveal themselves. Unfortunately enough, Vipers, they actually would have wanted to recover that rifle as well, but it's just been chucked across the map, and it's going to fall to a demise unknown to us. Bye-bye, Phantom. We wish you well.
Yeah, you will be missed. But again, they're not giving the defenders any chance of getting free weapons, which you don't see too much. Here we go. Here comes the first push. Oh, Little Fudge, the sheriff again. That's 2.
2, and he's wanting to make it a little bit more, but he was taken out, and Yagami is able to shut down Lewis over by CT. So controlled. The bomb site now sits with Clark Kent, as Zeno is going to ensure the spike goes down. The remainder of the Vipers have got to mount some kind of retake, but they're going to walk right into ING's open arms. Bentalli's the first to fall, and Johnny Valele is able to clean up the shreds. Back down to a 2v2 scenario as Axios are trying to duel things out from door. No one on the side of Clark Kent needs to get greedy. They just need to wait for the clock to expire. That is all that Zeno and Yagami need to do in this scenario right over here. The ball, it is in the court of the Vipers, and as the astral form takes place, the flash comes on through. Zeno finds one, retorted by Johnny Valele in the defense. They come out successful. Johnny Valele finding a triple kill. Defuse comes in, and that was, dare I say, the eco round of dreams, ladies and gents.
I have some huge respect for Johnny Valele's decision there to drop the Cosmic Divide in a position where they were behind. They were a 2v2 admittedly, but into superior weapons. One player, admittedly, Johnny Valele had picked up a rifle, but by dropping it across the back of Boathouse, it forced Zeno out. Yeah, and then they could take the 1v1, and it was effectively a 2v1, a 1v2, made it a 1v1, and then killed off the last player. That is so impressive there by Johnny Valele and Axios to take that fight, and they were rewarded for it as well. And they're going to take out the operator's position.
Yeah. Also, let's not forget about Little Fudge really putting up the numbers with the sheriff in that last round. Absolutely massive performance from his side. But Hunter's Fury is going to be popped off at the very least to counter the attack killjoy that was placed inside of B Long. But turns out that was all smoke and mirrors. The rest of the squad on the side of Clark Kent, they are already occupying the A bomb site. Bentalli finds 2 from inside of Hell. Zeno is able to, clap back on towards Heaven, and IGN finds Bentalli down below. Axios He's got to channel his inner Olaf Meister to actually make this one happen with the operator. Let's see. 1v3. 3 separate body shots is the most that he requires, and he narrowly spots the head, dashes directly to get a better position after cleaning up Zyno. And now he's got 2 players to worry about. Owl Drone is going to confirm his locale as Axios needs to smoke himself off, creeping up ever closer. Tries to tap away, but he is sprayed down through the smoke by ING. That came so close. A valiant effort on the side of Axios that could have been converted into a 1v1 scenario, but ultimately, Clark Kent had a perfect plan that was perfectly executed, debating all of Vipers into thinking it was going to be a B hit, when in reality, they had their eyes just sternly placed over towards that A site.
Yeah, and there's not disrespect specifically, but the leaving of the operator on the floor shows you how much confidence this Clark Kent team has. It means they don't need it. They definitely subscribe to the decision of, we're attacking, we don't need a operator to do what we need to do. Oh no! Oh, he dashes into the wall. Oh, disaster there. They do get 1, potentially 2. That was a big old shot, that chunk of damage, but that was oh no, that could have been painful.
Oh, wow. So close to glory. He finds 2. He would have definitely wanted more, as Little Fudge comes in through doors with the Sheriff, finds a very, very little, well, Xeno in that instance, but ING is right there to pick up the slack. Still, though, Clark Kent are able to equalize up the scoreline, regardless as to how rough that round could have actually gone. But still, that was a gorgeously played eco round on the side of the Vipers, and they certainly did like a decent chunk of economic damage over towards Clark Kent. And now with 2 rounds left over in this first half, I personally don't know which way it can go. It can either be a 6-6 split, it can be a 7-5 for either side. This has been very competitive thus far, and I absolutely love what both squads have to show us tonight.
I am not in a selfish way. I really hope that the really hope that Clark Kent win this one, because I'll tell you what, this defensive team of the Vipers have been way better on these eco rounds with these Sheriffs than they have been with the rifles. It's been comical to watch. They've been so good.
They're gonna, well, at the very least, just sway away from that sentiment ever so slightly, as Axios is able to deal a little bit of damage towards the Killjoy. Yeji falls over by B Long. So, with the attackers already fully occupying the B-bomb side, they're able to deal with the last remaining lurker of Axios inside of Long. And Xeno spots the head of Lewis, but he loses the duel to the Odin.
Wow.
My oh my, that's a bit of a surprise as well, but at the very least, Spike Plant has been secured. Post Plant now means that the ball is in the court of the Vipers right over here. What work can be done for the defense? It's going to be tough for them to barge their way in with Bentali wrapping in from behind. Lear is good. Shots narrowly missing, but the kill has been confirmed. And J-Kai is able to actually land 2. Killjoy ult means they have to either scamper away or try to force themselves in. But they might know where it is.
They know where he is. They know he's at the back. He has to be at the back.
Yagami finds one onto Lewis. 1v1 versus Bentali. He has to hold his ground, and he does so gloriously. Yagami with the Phantom is able to shut down Bentali in the nick of time. Holds down the fort in that post-plant scenario. And we have Clark Kent finally getting the comeback of dreams. They were a couple of rounds down. Keep in mind, it was a 5-3 scoreline at a certain point. They have just been able to put up a hat trick of rounds uncontested.
Yep, and it has always been close. And I think that's the big thing to bear in mind in this one. It has been a close game so far, and we haven't ever felt that one team has taken a massive foothold in it. And even now, 6-5 isn't really it's not really a big foothold, if that makes sense. Like this game is still very much open.
It's still up in the air.
We still have to see how the attacking side does versus obviously how the team of the Vipers do on the attack. Their defense has been pretty solid. They've sometimes taken a few too many peaks that they probably shouldn't have done, but generally they put themselves in a position to fight back from the deficit that they may or may not be in. But now we need to see if they can pull out the final round into this half and bring it to 6-6. Otherwise, 2 rounds isn't massive. It's still a really close game.
We do have a short little tech pause coming on in, but I do surmise we'll get back into the action relatively quickly. Still, though, on the side of the Oxford Brooks Vipers, pretty sure you guys already caught a glimpse of the scoreboard before we came back to our faces. They do have a little bit of a force spy on their side, but some people actually rocking light armor as well, so you know that this is going to be the last-ditch attempt for them, regardless, on the side of the defense over here. And, well, Clark Kent, they have been putting up the results, the numbers, basically everything thus far since they were able to initialize their comeback. And now moving into the last round, as we said, it's all up in the air. Literally, virtually anything can happen. Who's going to take the 6th or who's going to take the 7th? We simply don't know, as Batali pops the Empress, and he's hungry for kills.
That Empress does fall out quite quickly, so he needs to make use of it now. Little Fudge took 140 damage with a dink to the head, and Axius is down at 26. It's 2 very low health bars and no way to heal them. They don't have a Sky on their team. That's the big difference. They've gone for the double duelist with the Reyna and the Jet, and it means that no one can extra do it. We're going to see the first ultimate come through here. Lewis is going to chuck out the drone to see if he can find anything. The players are already on site. 2 Cosmic Divides go down. The spam through the smoke is good for one. Johnny Valele gets one, but it's traded out into a 4v4, but they're on site now, which is big for the side of the attackers, but Lewis is really close straight away.
He is. Up close and personal is the name of the game right over here. Lewis, as well as his fellow Astra, need to make something happen as ING is tucked in deep behind a corner. He finds one into Lewis. Spray transfer not good enough onto Bantali, so we're back in a 3v3 right here, and the retake needs to come out very soon as Fudge will be cleaned up. Johnny Valele and Bantali executing both J-Kai and Yeji, and Zeno, unfortunately enough pressure got to him, the nerves as well. He will be taken down as Bantali finds a triple kill to keep the dream alive, and at the very least is able to, well, crush a little bit of that momentum on the side of Clark Kent, as they have put an end to, well, Superman's technical win streak of rounds thus far. An even split, 6-6 as we move into the second half.
And I think the big thing to bear in mind in that one, and the difficult position Zeno was in, he got literally caught between a rock and a hard place. They had 2 players pushing in, but it's the fact that their other 2 teammates just vanished, one to each player. That's not good if you're on the side of you're taking a lot of peaks there, and I think both teams have been caught for it, taking peaks that they shouldn't be taking. They get a little Fudge, but then they want another repeak, and then they lose the fight to Johnny Valele and Balta.
Simply put, they were caught lacking.
And they were 3v2. They had a 3v2 numbers advantage. They took the peaks, and then Zeno's left on their own going, team.
This crossfire could be massive as Little Fudge finds the first. Johnny Valele chiming in as well. This is basically a repeat of last round, only with pistols, as Johnny Valele gets himself a double kill onto Zeno. Early aggression on the side of Clark Kent just simply punished out by 2 attackers that wanted to hold their ground. The A-bomb site now entirely compromised as Yeji tries to dink it away, but the frenzy gets the better of him. And, well, it's all down to ING, who simply doesn't stand a chance in hell. Johnny Valele is just bombastic on this Astra thus far. Top fragging with 16, tied up with Bantali. This dynamic duo cannot be torn apart.
Johnny Valele and Little Fudge just killed 4 players for 1 in return on a pistol round. That is insane. Like, seriously, that is... Really,
it was him and Bantali, and then I think Little Fudge got only 1 single frag in that round. Yeah,
but they killed 4 between them on a pistol round. That's really, really impressive. Like, they took the 2v2 kill in the first place, got the 3rd one, and then they just sort of, Johnny Valele able to do that slight lurk, and they get 1 kill on the other side is big, as here comes the first of the swarm grenades in, and the suction stars are in as well. They're going to try and get this door shut, but there's a lot of players waiting for this. They're going to peek through the wall, and they're going to get 1, but Valele makes sure that it is only 1, and now it's in that 4v4 post-punt situation. Weapon disadvantage. Bantali is going to get 1 and peace out as well.
And he's going to actually go in for second, surprisingly enough. He sprays down Yagami through the smoke. He gets Yeji, and now he might get a little bit greedy, but Zeno's going to pick him up as well. Still, though, this is near unwinnable for Zeno. Looking for some kind of weaponry to exchange the classic with, but he just finds another one as he's got, well, basically an execution squad on the opposing side of heaven to deal with. Johnny Valele going massive once again, simply delivering a performance that is actually rivaling that of Keiku we saw earlier on Icebox.
Yep, and this time being done on Astra, the controller, rather than on Reina, the duelist. But that was a big round there. They were able to get the enemy frags. It was 3 players stacked behind the door, but you can see what damage can be done when players stack a bomb site. It obviously didn't work out that time. They were just a little bit too accurate this time round, but it was one of those rounds that could have gone very wrong very quickly for the side of the attackers, for the Vipers, and unfortunately CK just not quite able to punch the damage through and make it stick with the stacking they did on that site.
Still, though, hopefully things can get a little bit more competitive on the side of Clark Kent. Right now, rifles have been bought. They have been secured. And, well, we know how Oxford Brook's Vipers have been thus far with their eco rounds, to say the very least. They may be shocking a little bit of PTSD towards the side of Clark Kent right now. Still, though, a very reserved approach from the Vipers right now. Just maybe trying to bait out a mistake on the side of Clark Kent, but with this kind of deficit that the defense is facing, they can't really afford to go for any peaks. At the very least, they have to try to keep the Vipers on a leash right here. A full stack over towards A-Long means that an execution could be imminent.
The drone will give them some clue of where they are, but yep, they're going to be committing. They're going to find one player in heaven. It means that they can do it, but they don't know where that second player is. JK was there as well, and the dive onto site isn't going to get punished yet. They are going to hit the site.
Oh my god.
Oh, he manages to make the hidden position work. They had no idea they were there. One bullet in the chamber just isn't going to be enough, and Axie is left all on their lonesome. Good for one, but are they good for any more?
I don't know. Good luck, have fun, Axios. You've got a mountain to climb. Yagami's gonna clean him up. That was, simply put, an utterly dominant performance coming out from JK right over there. Not exactly the kind of player that had actually all too much to say throughout the course of Ascent thus far, but simply off of that play, they have actually re-entered the conversation of being a star player and actually delivering some results for Clark Kent. Keeping themselves tucked in a spray transfer with a Vandal, I know it is hard to tame the recoil of that thing, but they did it almost to perfection, getting a triple kill.
Yeah, and the interesting thing was there that if you noticed, they only found one player with the drone. They found the Jet, not the Astra.
Yeah,
and that's why it was quite scary, but they're going to make some aggressive pushes out. This flash is pretty broken. Oh no, he got the kill. He dismissed
exactly.
away. Oh,
Bentali sprays through as his retinas were being burned by that flash, and he still walks away unscathed from the entire engagement.
Oh, wow.
Bentali also spots out ING over towards Pizza, but can't land the shots just yet. Despite the fact that kill didn't come on through, the fact that they drew first blood still is massive for the Vipers right here.
It's the fact that despite having their eyes burned out, despite there being a smoke in the way and being revealed by the Sova dart, they got the kill and dismissed away. Like, if you're on the side of Clark Kent, you must be thinking, what on earth do I have to do to kill this guy?
Yeah.
Or kill this player, because they just lit them up out of nowhere, and the spam through is going to catch a little bit. They know they're there. They're going to get one. Tries to spray transfer, but there's still decent health here. The flash is going to come out. They're going to try and find their way onto site. They're going to know there's a player there. They are able to spam through the wall, and 2v3 is really good as Johnny Valele falls as well.
Lil Fudge, now the last player alive, has to clean up the entire mess that the rest of the Vipers have left in front of him, but unfortunately it's a task too tall for Lil Fudge to accomplish. The spike was stranded in basically the center of no man's land right over there, and that is Clark Kent equalizing up the scoreline, tying it up in a nice little, well, not nice and little, but I guess one could say a blood-soaked bow after all of the action we have just witnessed thus far.
Yeah, and we're finally seeing Zyno get a hold of an op here on the Jet. As the pros do seem to say, Jet seems to be the only character left that's able to actually wield this weapon and see what they can do with it now. But yeah, it was one of the Vipers. That was definitely a round that they should have probably won, but they just weren't able to close out any sort of power level on it. And it's always a scary thing if you're in a position where it's like, we should probably be winning this one. We've already got a quick kill with player advantage, but just not enough. They are going to kill the drone, so information down. They're also going to get the recon dart before that gives any information. Not going to get anything off the first guiding light. No blinded noise being made, and the spam's going to try and find something. And now they know where some of the players are.
Yeah, exactly. IGN has already been able to relay the fact that there are, what, 3 people at the very least stacked over by Long, and Lil Fudge is the first to fall during this eco round for the attackers. Obviously, the odds of them winning, they are substantially low. probably minuscule at this certain point, and this recon drone coming on in spots out one player, but now, hey, it's go time. Everyone on the side of the Vipers is simply sprinting through the bomb side. Yeji none the wiser falls as ING is able to claw back into their favor. They have successfully taken the bomb site. It is compromised, and the spike will go down. Axios recovers a Phantom as well, so that does give them a winning shot. The hero Phantom needs to come alive right here, as we have Johnny Valele at least tapping away as Axios cleans up ING. Zyno as well to try to chime in with the operator. We're down to a 3v3 scenario, and this is looking ever more worse for Clark Kent. And now it's all down to Johnny Valele as two of his teammates have been taken down. Defuse nearly coming on in. He is stuck inside of Pit. And oh, the first shot was just inches away from dinking J-Kai into next Friday. But he walks away from that engagement unscathed. Zeno gets in the defuse as well. And that was probably too close for comfort. Clark Kent certainly letting out a massive sigh of relief after that round.
Because it's always going to put themselves in a position where they should be winning those rounds because they have the significant weapon advantage. But they also have to then complete it. Like, you have 3 players on site that have taken the site, and I think that's a big difference you have to look at as well, is they got onto site.
Yeah.
And they were almost able to hold it. They got a couple of good kills, but then it's kind of one of those strange ones where it's just sort of player numbers that just come in too hard and too fast, and they're able to then close out that round and put themselves at the advantage for the second time. And good lord, just removes Lewis before they have any chance of doing anything. But now they need to try and make it work. He's going to get spammed through the smoke, but J-Kai's going to